A woman walks into a cafe. She looks polished, calm, expensive. Her nails are freshly done. Her phone is new. Her outfit is clean, fitted, intentional. Nothing about her feels rushed. Nothing about her looks uncertain. She walks to the counter, orders her coffee, and pays without checking the price. Not even a glance. Now shift your eyes. At the corner of the cafe there is another woman. She is quieter, simpler. Her clothes are plain, her bag is smaller, no obvious signals, no performance. If you saw her on the street, you might not look twice. She sits there, sipping slowly, unbothered, present, almost invisible. Now here is the part no one sees. The first woman earns more. On paper, she is doing better. Her income is higher. Her lifestyle reflects it. But by the 23rd of every month, something changes. Her chest tightens a little. Her thoughts move faster. She starts calculating, delaying, adjusting. Not because she is irresponsible, but because too many things are depending on her income staying perfect. Now look back at the second woman. She earns less. There is nothing dramatic about her financial life. No big numbers, no impressive upgrades, but she sleeps at night. No quiet panic, no internal countdown, no invisible pressure building toward the end of the month. Just stability. Pause. One of these women looks financially stable. The other one actually is. Let that sit for a moment. Because this creates a question most women never slow down enough to ask. Why do some women earn more, look richer, and still live closer to panic, while others earn less, live simpler, and somehow keep their lives standing? Why does it feel like more money should solve everything? But somehow, for many women, it doesn't. We were taught to believe something very simple, that financial stability comes from earning more, from upgrading, from moving forward, from expanding your life as your income grows. But what if that belief is incomplete? What if, for many women, stability does not come from adding more, but from needing less, from having fewer financial decisions to manage, fewer leaks draining your money, fewer performances to maintain, and fewer quiet financial lies you have to keep up with every month? What if the difference between panic and peace is not how much you earn, but how your life is structured around what you earn? Because this is not really about saving money. It goes deeper than that. This is about the invisible rules, the ones no one teaches you. The ones that quietly decide whether a woman stands strong when life gets expensive, or slowly starts to collapse under it. Most women are not bad with money. They are just living inside a system that quietly asks too much from them. Not loudly, not aggressively, but constantly. A system that says, look put together, feel okay, keep up, stay desirable, stay relevant, stay moving, even when you are tired, even when your money is tight, even when life is asking you to slow down. So what happens? Money stops being just money. It becomes something else. It becomes proof. Proof that you are doing well. Proof that you belong in certain rooms. Proof that you are not falling behind. And this is where things begin to shift. Quietly. Because there are two types of spending most women never separate. The first is obvious. Rent, food, transport, bills, the things you need to survive. But the second type is more subtle and far more dangerous. Identity spending. The kind of spending that says, I am okay. I still have it together. I can afford this life. I belong here. I am not behind. It does not always look like excess. Sometimes it looks normal. A new outfit because you have an event. A nicer phone because everyone upgraded. A lifestyle adjustment because your income increased. Nothing feels extreme. Nothing feels reckless. But slowly, your money stops serving your life and starts protecting your image. And that is where instability begins. Not because a woman is careless, but because appearance is often cheaper in the moment than honesty. It is easier to maintain the look than to admit, even to yourself, that something needs to be reduced. So instead of adjusting the lifestyle, you stretch the money. You delay things, you shift things, you manage things, and over time your financial life becomes something you have to constantly hold together, quietly, carefully, every month. And this is the part no one says out loud. A lot of women are not unstable because they earn too little. They are unstable because too much of their money is tied to being seen a certain way. So every month, their income is not just paying for their life, it is rescuing it. Again and again and again, and that is exhausting. Because stability was never meant to feel like something you have to perform. It was meant to feel like something that holds you, even when you are not at your best. And this is where most people misunderstand minimalist money. They think it is about deprivation, about cutting everything, removing joy, living small. Acting like wanting nice things is a moral failure, but that is not what this is. Minimalist money is not punishment. It is protection. It is not about making your life empty. It is about making your life harder to break. That is the part many women never hear. Because when people hear the word minimalist, they imagine a visual style. Clean spaces, less clutter, simple routines. But financial minimalism is deeper than that. It is structural. It is a woman looking at her life honestly and asking, how many things in my life are quietly depending on money to keep working? How many payments? How many habits? How many upgrades? How many expectations? How many little financial weights are hanging from my peace? Because that is the real issue. Not whether something is expensive, but whether too many things in your life need constant financial feeding. And most of the time, that is how instability grows. Not through dramatic mistake, but through accumulation. Too many subscriptions, too many image maintenance costs, too many lifestyle adjustments, too many quiet obligations you now have to keep funding just to feel normal. And when money is flowing, none of it feels dangerous. That is what makes it deceptive. Because a life can feel fine when income is cooperating. But stability is not tested when things are flowing. Stability is tested when something delays, when a payment is late, when business slows down, when an emergency appears, when your energy drops, when life becomes less predictable than your budget expected. That is when the truth shows up, and suddenly what looked normal starts to feel heavy. What looked beautiful starts to feel demanding. What looked successful starts to feel fragile. That is why minimalist money matters. Because the goal is not to build a life that only works when everything goes right. The goal is to build a life that can still hold you when something goes wrong. A lot of women do not need more money first. They need less financial exposure, less lifestyle pressure, less performance, less silent dependency on perfect income. Because the woman who needs less to remain steady is often far more powerful than the woman who needs more just to appear okay. And that is the reveal. Minimalist money is not really about owning less. It is about needing less in order to stay standing. It is about becoming the kind of woman whose peace is not attached to constant financial perfection. It is about removing enough pressure from your life that money can finally stop feeling like emergency oxygen and start becoming what it was always supposed to be, a tool, not a rescue mission. And before I give you the rules, you need to see the pattern clearly. Because financial instability usually does not begin with one reckless decision. It begins with a life that quietly costs too much to maintain. That is what makes it dangerous. It does not always look chaotic. It can look beautiful, organized, normal, even successful. But underneath it, there is strain. Because when too many parts of your life need money to keep running smoothly, your income stops feeling like support. It starts feeling like pressure. And the problem with pressure is this. You do not always notice it when things are working. You notice it when something interrupts the flow, when life misses a beat, when the month gets longer, when your earnings dip, when something unexpected asks for money you already gave to appearances, habits, convenience, or maintenance. That is when a woman starts to realize something painful. A lot of what she called normal was actually expensive to sustain. And that is the line I need you to hold on to. If your life takes a lot of money just to look normal, you are not stable yet. You may be functioning, you may be coping, you may even be impressing people. But stability is something else. Stability means your life does not fall apart the moment money becomes less available. And once you understand that, the rules start to make sense. Because these are not saving tips. They are invisible rules for building a life that does not keep turning money into panic. Now that you see the pattern, the rules start to reveal themselves, not as instructions, but as truths most women only discover after they have already been stretched too far. Rule 1. Never build a life that needs your best month to survive. A lot of women do something very subtle and very dangerous. They build their lives around their highest earning version of themselves, not their average month, not their tired month, not their slow month, their best month, the month where everything worked, where money came in easily, where nothing unexpected happened. And without realizing it, they design their lifestyle to match that version. Their rent reflects it. Their habits reflect it. Their beauty standards reflect it. Their social life reflects it. Even their personal identity begins to reflect it. That is the trap. Because if your life only works when money is flowing well, then 1 weak month does not just feel inconvenient. It feels like something is breaking. It starts to feel like you are falling behind, like you are slipping, like you are no longer the woman you thought you were. And that is not a money problem. That is a structure problem. So here is the rule most people never say clearly. Your lifestyle should fit inside roughly 70 to 80% of what you normally bring in. Not 100% of your most optimistic month. Leave space. Not because you are scared, but because life is unpredictable. This is not pessimism. This is how women stop living one delay away from panic. Rule 2. Stability loves margin, not glamour. Look at two women again. One spends everything beautifully. Her life looks complete. Her choices look intentional. Nothing feels lacking. The other woman leaves room, and from the outside, she may look less impressive, less upgraded, less polished, less current, but she has something the first woman does not. She has oxygen. And that is what margin is. Margin is the money left after life happens, after the bills, after the subscriptions, after the small things you forgot to plan for, after the random Tuesday problem that asks for money you did not expect to spend. Margin is what stands between inconvenience and crisis. Without it, every small disruption feels bigger than it should. And this is not rare. Most people are closer to the edge than they look. A large percentage of adults say they can handle a small emergency expense, like $400, but that also means many cannot do it comfortably, which tells you something important. What looks stable is often just barely holding, so here is the truth. The woman with margin is not less stylish. She is less exposed, less dependent on everything going right, less vulnerable to life interrupting her. Rule 3. Stop funding your temporary feelings with permanent. A lot of money mistakes are not logical mistakes. They are emotional decisions. They happen quietly. You buy something because you felt behind. You buy something because you felt unattractive. You buy something because you were stressed. Because everyone else seems to be moving forward. Because you wanted relief, not the item. And in that moment, it feels small. It feels justified. It feels like something you deserve. But here is what most women never pause to see. The problem is not that you are emotional. The problem is that the world you are living in is designed to monetize your emotions. Everything is timed. Everything is targeted. Everything is positioned to meet you at your most vulnerable moments. So what happens? A 5-minute feeling becomes a 5-week financial consequence. And then another one. And another one. Until your money is no longer following your priorities, it is following your moods. So here is the rule. Do not let short emotional weather make long financial decisions, because stability is not built on how you feel in the moment. It is built on what you protect over time. Rule 4. A quiet life is cheaper than a performative one. There is a version of womanhood that is very expensive, not because it is luxurious, but because it is performative. It constantly needs to be seen. It needs updates, proof, movement, validation. It needs to show that you are evolving, that you are progressing, that you are keeping up. So you upgrade, you adjust. You align your life with what people expect you to look like at this stage. And slowly, your lifestyle stops being about you and starts becoming something you maintain for other people's eyes. And that maintenance costs money. Quietly. Consistently. Relentlessly. So sometimes, minimalism is not about discipline. It is about a decision. A woman deciding she no longer wants an audience in her finances. She no longer needs to prove that she is okay. She no longer needs her life to perform stability. And that is powerful. Because one of the fastest ways to become unstable is to make your lifestyle answer to other people's expectations. Rule 5. Your emergency fund is not just money, it is self-respect and storage. Emergency savings sounds boring. Until life embarrasses you. Until something happens that forces you to choose quickly. To accept something you do not want. To say yes when you wish you could say no. It is easy to ignore savings when everything is working. When money is flowing. When nothing urgent is happening. When life feels predictable, but money you can reach quickly, changes how you move through the world. It changes how you think, how you respond, how you decide. Because what it really gives you is not just money. It gives you time. It gives you dignity. It gives you fewer desperate yeses. It gives you slower, calmer decisions. It gives you the ability to pause instead of react. And the truth is, financial breathing room is still not normal. Many people do not have enough saved to comfortably handle even a few months without income. Which means what you are building already puts you in a different position. So understand this clearly. A savings buffer is not just preparation. It is self-respect and storage. It is a woman refusing to make panic her financial strategy. Now, if you step back for a moment, you start to see that these rules are not random. They are not separate little money tips. They are all doing one thing. They are reducing the number of ways money can control your emotions. And that matters more than most people realize. Because for many women, money is not just about numbers. It affects mood, confidence, choices, identity, peace. It affects how you enter a room, how you answer messages, how you sleep, how you think about yourself when things are not flowing. So when your financial life is fragile, your emotional life often becomes fragile with it. That is why these rules matter so much. Because every one of them removes a layer of unnecessary pressure. When you need less, delays hurt less. Because your life is not built on constant financial perfection. When you leave margin, surprises hurt less, because one interruption does not immediately become a crisis. When you stop emotional spending, shame hurts less, because your money is no longer being used to repair feelings it was never meant to carry. When you stop performing stability, comparison hurts less, because your life is no longer answering to other people's eyes. And when you save, uncertainty hurts less, because now the future does not feel like something waiting to punish you. That is what these rules are really doing. They are not just protecting your account, they are protecting your nervous system. They are helping you live in a way where money stops behaving like a constant emotional trigger. And that is the hidden truth. Financial stability is not being rich enough to avoid all problems. It is being structured enough that your problems do not immediately become fear. That is the difference. Because instability is not only about the presence of problems, it is about how quickly a normal problem turns into panic. A bill, a delay, a repair, a slow month, an unexpected expense. For one woman it is stressful. For another it is destabilizing. Why? Because one has money, but the other has structure. And structure changes everything. Even a small shift changes everything. If a woman cuts just 10 to 15% of unconscious lifestyle leakage and redirects it consistently over 12 months, the difference is not only numeric, it is psychological, because the money grows. But something else grows too. Her steadiness, her sense of control, her ability to breathe before reacting, her trust in herself. That is where stability starts becoming identity. Not when she suddenly becomes rich, but when she starts becoming harder to shake. And once that begins, something powerful changes inside her. She stops feeling like someone life keeps happening to, and starts becoming someone who can absorb impact, someone who can take a hit without collapsing, someone who no longer needs every month to be perfect in order to feel okay. And that is when money starts becoming more than survival. It starts becoming support. It starts becoming space. It starts becoming peace. So now, go back to the two women in the cafe. The one who looked polished, expensive, put together, and the one who looked simple, quiet, almost forgettable. The deeper truth was never really about who looked better. It was about who was carrying less financial strain inside her life. One woman had an image that looked stable. The other had a structure that actually was. And that difference matters more than most people realize, because a woman can look beautiful and still feel financially hunted. She can earn well and still feel one bad month away from anxiety. She can look current, upgraded, impressive, and still be privately exhausted by how much her life costs to maintain. And none of that makes her foolish. It just means she was taught to associate stability with appearance, with progress, with visible success, with the kind of life that makes people assume she is doing well. But real stability is quieter than that. It does not always look dramatic. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like room. Sometimes it looks like a woman who could do more, buy more, show more, but chooses not to. Not because she lacks taste. Not because she lacks ambition. But because she finally understands something many people never learn. A life that constantly needs to be financed is not freedom. It is dependency wearing good clothes. And that is why this conversation matters. Because every woman reaches a point where she has to decide what kind of life she really wants. Do I want a life that looks stable, or a life that is stable? Do I want to keep funding appearances, or do I want to build peace? Do I want my money to go toward proving something, or protecting something? Do I want a life that gets applause, or a life that can hold me when things get hard? That is the real question. And if no one ever taught you how to think this way, that is not your fault. A lot of women were taught how to work, how to earn, how to stretch, how to survive, how to keep going, but not how to remove pressure, not how to build margin, not how to make their financial life less fragile, not how to become the kind of woman who is harder to shake. And maybe that is the shift. Maybe wealth begins there, not at the point where a woman has the most, but at the point where she no longer needs so much to feel safe, no longer needs so much to feel enough, no longer needs so much to keep her life from falling apart. Because minimalist money is not about becoming less. It is about becoming less available to chaos. It is about becoming a woman whose peace is not based on perfect income. A woman whose confidence is not funded by constant spending. A woman whose life can survive a slower month, a surprise bill, an unexpected turn without becoming fear. That is power. Quiet power. Invisible power. The kind that does not always impress people immediately, but the kind that changes a woman's life from the inside out. And maybe that is the real wealthy woman code. Not more noise, not more proving, not more performance, but more structure, more truth, more breathing room, more self-respect, more peace. So if you are building that kind of life, not just a beautiful one, but a steady one, then you are already becoming a different kind of woman. A woman who can hold money, a woman who can protect peace, a woman who does not collapse every time life gets expensive. And that woman changes everything. Because once she is built, everything around her starts to change too. This is the wealthy woman code. And here, we are not just talking about money. We are talking about the kind of woman you become when your life is no longer built on panic, performance, and pressure. If that is the woman you are becoming, subscribe and stay with me, because we are building her one quiet truth at a time.